Good morning, Santa Monica. Erev Tov, Tel Aviv. And happy Pride Week, which we know just launched today. And we wish the best celebrations to everybody celebrating Pride Week, Pride Month. And you'll see some great programming that we have later in the month for this. My name's Wayne Firestone. Today is about plays, live plays. We're so thrilled with this partnership with the Jewish Plays Project, with CenterStage and Renana Israel. We are bringing you the best of both worlds here today. Show us a little love for live theater. If you've got a play that you've seen recently that you want to recommend from your hometown, put something in the chat. Tell us about theater coming back and reminding us what it is that what we've been missing in quarantine. It's so great to be with you. Some of you may recall a year ago when a lot of this team, the famous Daniella and David and Omer from our AIFL family, were in an empty theater in Renana. Well, we're not today. Today, we are with a live audience in Renana. We are on a Zoom webinar. We are absolutely doing a twofer. It is great to have everyone here with us. I'm going to introduce, first of all, Daniella Crankshaw, the co-founder and artistic director at CenterStage. It's the only professional English language speaking theater in Israel, and she's excited to have electricity. She's excited to have an audience. She's excited to be next to her partner in crime, Danielle Feidelson, who is a JPP veteran for over a decade when she was an actress in New York. She is a native of Tucson, Arizona, and she is in Tel Aviv now, producing, directing, acting, bringing theater alive. So, Daniella, take it away.
Wayne, thank you so much. We are so excited to be here. Good evening, everyone from CenterStage in Renana, Israel. So as Wayne's already taken away everything I was going to say, I am the co-founder and artistic director of CenterStage, and I want to introduce Danny now.
Hi, I'm the other Danny, or as Wayne said, Daniella, or as we say, Danny Squared. And we are thrilled to be representing Israel in the Jewish Playwriting Project's international competition, and also to be partnering with Wayne and the American Israel Friendship League. So hello to all of our new AIFL viewers.
Well,
why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, Danny? Could just quickly just...
Oh, well, it's Wayne said a lot. And I was in New York for 10 years. I got my master's in acting from Columbia University. I came here for 4 weeks to visit. And 4 years later, I'm still here working with you all lovely people and all that fun stuff.
And I'm really pleased to say that Danny is the one who introduced us to David at JPP, and that happened in the midst of Corona when everything was shut down, but we made it work. We made Israel, it was the first time that Israel really had a voice, and that's what's so important for us here today, is that Israel is actually given a voice in the Jewish conversation. So David, thank you so much for that, and I guess I'm going to pass the torch on to you.
So let me just say, by way of introduction, Danielle, do you want to add something?
Yes, one last thing. We have to send out a huge thank you to the entire Israel reading group, who over the last few weeks put in hours of their spare time to read the competition's top 7 plays so that we have our favorite 3. So those people are Dan Schoenfeld, Gabriella Silverstone, Hunter Weincheck, and Becky Brothman, and our other readers who are here tonight to lend their acting talents, which is Guy Zeidman, Grant Crankshaw, and Omer Corwin. So thank you guys so much.
So whoever said that theater's a spectator sport, not David Winitsky, the Pied Piper of Jewish plays. You're going to hear from David about what your role is today. Everybody gets to vote. It's a great platform that, as founding director and founding artistic director of the Jewish Plays Project, David Winitsky introduced. He's helped seed the development of over 50 plays in cities around the world, including Tel Aviv. and he has a master's in directing from Northwestern. He is a lifetime theater professional, and he joins us live from his home studio in Philly today. David, tell us about what we're going to see and what we're going to do.
Thank you so much, Wayne. It is such a pleasure to be back here, and I am going to do a little screen share here. And welcome to the Jewish Playwriting Contest and to the third annual Tel Aviv Jewish Playwriting Contest, brought to you by the JPP, by CenterStage, and by the American Israel Friendship League. We are so thrilled with this partnership. We have a lot to do today. So to simplify some things, I am going to just play you a short video of that will tell you a little bit about the JPP and what it is that we do. So let's get this going, and then we'll come back and get the plays started.
The Jewish Plays Project puts bold, progressive Jewish conversations on world stages. We bring next-generation artists and adventurous audiences like you together to create, investigate, and advocate for new Jewish plays. The JPP invests artists in their Jewish identity, engages Jewish communities in the championing of new voices, and secures mainstream production opportunities for the best new plays. Since 2011, we've collected over 1,500 plays from 995 writers in 32 states and 9 countries. Audience members from around the world have voted online and in person for their favorite plays. We've actively developed 50 of their favorites, 30 of which have gone on to production in New York, London, Tel Aviv, and around the world, playing for over 30,000 people. Now it's your turn. Which play matches today's Jewish conversation?
All right. So I am going to tell you a little bit. You heard in that video that we have collected at this point over 1,700 plays and developed 50 of them and sent them around the country. And one of the things I'm most excited about is this spring, as the theater has been coming back to live performance, we have 6 plays that are in production around the country and the world, including all the way from LA and the Geffen Playhouse to the Victory Gardens Theater in Chicago and all the way to the English Theater Berlin, as well as here in Philly in New York. And that's the most exciting thing, because your participation is helping launch these plays into the world and into the theatrical canon. Again, I want to thank our fantastic Tel Aviv Readers panel, all these wonderful people who read our top plays and chose these 3, the Tel Aviv top 3 that we are going to see today. Today's contest is part of our international contest. It's one of 9 cities around the world that are voting. We'll have about 1,500 people who eventually vote in the contest. And the most important thing that you need to know is that you have a job today. You are going to listen to these plays. You are going to consider what you think is the most important Jewish conversation. And at the end of the day, you are going to vote. There are 2 ways to vote. One, for the folks who are in person there at CenterStage, you are going to take a hand vote with the Danny Square there. They will take care of that for you. And the folks online, you're going to do a Zoom vote. A poll will pop up in the chat and you'll get to vote after we see these 3 great excerpts. So that's it for me. I'm going to turn it back over to our fantastic team at AIFL to get us into the plays, and I'll tell you more about them when they come up. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Bess Welden, and I wrote Madeleines. For me, being Jewish is pretty much synonymous with loving food and eating. All of those holiday meals with special recipes and all of the memories and stories that go along with them. I wanted to write a play about a family of Jewish women, focusing particularly on this fraught relationship between two sisters. And it was all predicated on this one hypothetical. What would happen if you found out that your all-time favorite cookie recipe, the non-traditional kosher for Passover Madeleine, something that your mom invented and had been baking since the beginning of time, what if you found out that this treasured recipe was actually based on a heartbreaking secret that changes everything that you think you know about your family? But then, as you and your sister inherit this recipe, the story starts to change. You do more research, you find out more about your family history, stumble upon an exciting surprise, and also your relationship with your sister starts to grow some more space for compassion and trust and maybe some healing. So if I've done a good job after you've heard the play, you might want to try to whip up a batch of these delicious little French tea cakes. If you do, just a little bit of advice: never skimp on the butter. It is all about the butter.
Oh, except because then we'll hear it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
So good.
Take a seat, Quote.
Great. So we're so thrilled to have Bess back. She is a two-time JPP finalist. In this play, which should have smell-o-vision, so we can have all those great cookies, we're going to talk about baking. And in this excerpt, you are going to hear from sisters Jennifer and Deborah as they connect in their childhood home, where Deborah is now living after the death of their mother, Rose. Deborah, in the early stages of recovery, is using her mother's recipes to rebuild her own life, much to the chagrin of Jennifer, who feels her success as a doctor and mother has not been recognized. In this scene, sometimes the sisters' memories come to life and they each take turns playing Rose. Sometimes Rose herself haunts the kitchen undetected by her daughters. And this will feature Danny Fadelson, Daniella Crankshaw, and Omer Corwin.
It's cliche as hell, but I had the best time with her. Pause, live theater. We have to fix a technicality. Testing, testing. We're back. It's cliche as hell, but I had the best time with her ever since I came back. I found out who she was by standing here with her, sifting and rolling and being precise because every detail matters. A couple of weeks ago, she was up late doing these pecan drops for a Temple Sisterhood luncheon, and she started talking to Zadie and singing and then expounding like Terry Gross was interviewing her, like she was dictating her memoir to the room. I never paid close enough attention before, but she really did have her own distinct way with words.
Oh, her high school teacher told us something like that. He thought she had the makings of a poet. I don't mean this to come out the wrong way, but you seem better. Like better than you've been for a while.
Yeah, well.
Why don't you come stay with us for a couple of weeks? I mean, Ruthie's room is free until she gets back, if she gets back.
You must be feeling guiltier than I thought.
Oh, give me a break. I'm just trying to be.
No, I'm going to stay.
Here?
Yeah.
Why? There's nothing here.
Are you kidding? They're just about to open a new DoubleTree hotel downtown. And the eggplant parm at Alberini's is now better than Scarcella's. Giant Eagle carries 2 kinds of goat cheese and kombucha.
I can't believe you're even considering this.
Yeah, well, we always thought we were too good for this place.
How could we not? We grew up knowing there wasn't anything here for us. We were raised on the expectations that we would leave. I never questioned it, neither did you.
Of course, but fulfilling Mom's Jewish American gospel of educational exceptionalism and economic achievement didn't really work out for me, did it?
No, I guess not.
I'm not better than this town or any of these people here. In fact, they make all those years that I spent in New York seem utterly ridiculous. Chasing assignments so I wouldn't miss some chance to get my name in a magazine so that Mom could show it off to her friends. I'm perimenopausal and still paying off my grad school loans. And people here are dealing with the real shit of life, just trying to keep a job and not get too sick and hope their kids stay in school.
Deborah, half the kids we went to school with are dead or in rehab. It's even more depressing than when we left.
But it's cheap. And then there's very few distractions. It's good for writing. And we have extremely well-attended 12-step meetings of all kinds. I bring a couple of dozen of whoopie pies to Thursdays at 7 at the JCC, and we get a capacity crowd.
I am so glad that you can joke about it. But seriously, now that Mom is gone, I'm
taking over her business. We talked about it. She said I should. The house is paid for, and it seems like people still want cookies. So when I clear enough cash, I'll just buy you out. I haven't had a drink in like 63 weeks this Wednesday, and I started a draft of a new book proposal.
When were you going to tell me all this?
I don't know. I guess I thought it wouldn't matter very much to you.
Then what would matter to me? It's just you and me now.
I know why Mom made Madeleines every spring. It actually wasn't for Passover, but it's the only time of the year that she did them. Always on April 10th. I'd already been back a few months last year, and I remember she woke up with a bad headache. And I'd almost convinced her to go back to bed, but she'd already looked at the calendar, and she insisted that she had to make the Madeleines. And she told me to pull the recipe. And then tucked behind the card, there was this thin piece of pink paper, like deep creases, like it had been folded and unfolded a lot. 2 tiny faded footprints. Baby girl Morris, 10 April 1964.
What?
Technically, they're not cookies. They're French tea cakes. Get the scalloped shell pan, preheat the oven to 450, butter, 2 eggs, sugar, matzo meal cake flour, rum. Do you want lemon or vanilla?
Lemon.
There should be one in the fridge. Get a small saucepan for the butter, 3/4 of a cup. Never skimp on the butter. It's all about the butter. Melt it on medium-low.
Mom, what happened to the baby?
Which baby? Start a double boiler. You know how? Watch the butter, and as soon as it melts, take it off the fire to cool. Crack the eggs into a separate bowl, always a separate bowl to make sure
There's
that
no blood or shell, I know.
Add 1 cup sugar and heat it over the water just until lukewarm.
Your baby, the first one?
How do you...
Is she why you make these every year?
Stir it constantly. Don't look at me. Look at what you're doing. It's warm enough. Take it off the heat and keep beating until it's thick but light and creamy. You need to get as much air into it as possible. Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop.
On her birthday?
Whose birthday?
The baby. The first one.
She was too little. Let it cool now. When we add the lemon, it will turn yellow, like her hair.
The baby was blonde?
Yes, she was like the girl on the boat.
Which boat? The one that you and Zadie came over with after the war?
What other boat have I ever been on? She was a French girl on that big boat. So small, I thought she was a doll. Zadie kept promising me a doll when we got to America. And she had yellow hair. She wore a sailor coat, navy blue with white trim. It was the cleanest thing I'd ever seen. And her cheeks were pink, like the hand-colored photos. It still needs to cool. It has to be completely cool before you sift in the matzo meal cake flour. 1 cup.
Who was the girl, Mom, on the boat?
My little French doll. She let me pick her up, my friend, for a few days. Madeleine. That was her name. Then her cheeks got too red and I wasn't allowed to play with her anymore. And they wrapped her in white cloth. I saw them do it. And they threw her in the sea. I thought Zadie would be mad at me for losing her. The butter is cool enough. Add the cake meal.
And the lemon?
Yes, zest the lemon. You need 1 teaspoon if you want mostly color, 2 if you want real flavor. My baby was too small. She lived 3 days. I held her for 3 days. Then I wrapped her in white cloth and sent her away. Away to Madeleine.
What was her name?
She was too little. Check them after 14 minutes. By then, they should be golden, like her hair.
They didn't name her?
I don't think so. I couldn't find her real birth certificate. I asked a few more times, but all she said was that it made Daddy too sad.
Well, why didn't she ever tell us?
Why would she?
What else is in this box? It's like I never knew her at all. When were you going to tell me?
Eventually. I guess I was just sort of relishing knowing something that you didn't. Jen, look, I came back and you didn't. So she gave it all to me. The box, the recipes, the stories. Everyone her whole life left her, and I was the one who came back.
We both left. She sent us away. Go have the life I never could. You only came back because your career was going nowhere. You couldn't stay in a relationship. Your drinking was out of control, and you only came back because you had nothing.
Oh, that's right. Professor Dr. Jennifer Moritz, MD, PhD of Columbia University, married to some big shot lawyer, but still a really nice guy, Jeremy Levin, mother of Ruth Levin, graduated summa cum laude Bronx Science, now pre-med at Dartmouth. That's right. You did it all perfectly, and I did nothing. So I came crawling back to my mother, who never believed in me, just to claim my inheritance. A late 60s ranch house in a suburb of dead steel town and a box of cookie recipes. Do you want to fight over it?
I was wrong. You haven't changed at all.
You know, back in November, when she still had a lot of clear moments, we talked about what she wanted for the end. Those amazing hospice people gave me a questionnaire. Mom said no to everything. No life extending measures. She said if she could, she'd hang on to see Ruth graduate college, but all she really cared about was not wearing diapers. She said, if I can't make it to the toilet anymore, that's the end.
That sounds like her.
If things got too disgusting, her words, not mine, she wouldn't want to wait it out. The last 3 weeks, she got pretty bad. Kept having accidents. Kept thinking I was you or Dad. And then she was frantic about missing some invoice or chucking everything out of her closet, looking for a pair of penny loafers from 1974. All over the place and never, ever sleeping. I couldn't leave her alone. Not even for 10 minutes.
Why didn't you call me?
Why didn't you call me? Dr. Chen called in something to help her sleep. She didn't want to take it. 2 nights ago, she was screaming at me and throwing books. But finally, she just collapsed and fell asleep in a puddle of her own. So I cleaned her up and I got her into bed. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but they fluttered open and she stared at me like she knew it was really me. And she said, "It's time." I'm ready. Please help me. So I tucked her in. She promised to stay in bed. I came back in here and finished making the batter just how she taught me, and I crushed up some of the pills.
How many?
I'm not sure.
2 or 3?
I was totally exhausted.
More?
And I baked them with extra lemon. She took one bite and said, "Not light enough, not enough air." I stretched out next to her on the bed. She held my hand. I immediately zonked out. And when I woke up, she was gone. The whole plate was gone.
What are you saying?
I have no idea. In fact,
Deborah!
all I know is that she was gone. Quiet, easy. For the first time, maybe ever. And then I washed her body and wrapped it in a white cloth. And today we sent her away. Away to Madeleine and our unnamed sister.
My name is A.R. Cohen Corwin, and I wrote the play Say Goodbye. When I was little, every year I attended my synagogue's Purim celebrations. We listened to the Megillah, made noise to drown out the name of our dreaded enemy, Haman! And of course, we wore costumes. I always went as a Hamantashen. My mom made the costume. But as I got older, I started to think more deeply about this very fun holiday. Every year we relive the trauma of how we were almost annihilated. And yet we never talk about the remnants of that trauma and how we might heal from it. Instead, we commemorate our survival by gleefully celebrating the vengeance we get. But relishing in the death of another again and again, even if there was somebody very bad, it feels very un-Jewish to me. Say Goodbye is a reflection on how trauma can act like poison, and the complications that ensue if we try to use revenge as our antidote.
Great. And first, I want to say thank you to that fantastic cast from the first excerpt. So in this play, Esti is a brilliant Jewish scientist who worked closely with her German professor, Dr. Haymankopf, before the war, developing medical technology. Esti is tormented by the horrendous death of her sister and hundreds of other women who were the helpless subjects of Nazi pseudoscience at the hands of that same professor, her one-time colleague. Now married to Morty, you see the Purim story at work here, and a mother of 2 living in Austria, Esti is singularly focused on cracking the code of an experiment from before the war, a serum that can bring bodies back from the dead. What is it they say? Revenge is a dish best served cold. But what if it's a dish that always leaves you hungry? This excerpt is the pivotal scene in which Esti raises Dr. Haymankopf from the dead, the first time.
The evening, a dark basement. The only light comes from the hanging light bulb and a lit Bunsen burner simmering a beaker of red liquid. Esti stands at the Bunsen burner mixing in some powder. The body lies on the table as before, a tube still running from the medical machines into his arm. The large book tome rests upon his feet. There is a distant rumble of thunder and a flash of lightning. After a moment, Morty opens the basement door and calls downstairs.
Esti,
What?
I'm making dinner. Is cabbage okay?
Where's my rabbit?
She's up here.
Well, bring it back.
But she's watching me cook.
Morty.
Morty comes down the stairs, cuddling Isaac the rabbit.
I told you.
But the children aren't here. And she had such a nice day, didn't you, Isaac? Didn't you? Why can't she stay upstairs?
It belongs here.
But she likes it up there.
There is a louder rumble of thunder.
Come have some dinner?
I'm fine.
You shouldn't work on an empty stomach.
Esther picks up the body's arms and palpates them. She listens to his chest.
He's ready.
Big flash of lightning and rumble of thunder.
All right, well, let's go eat dinner and then
No,
we can...
he's ready now.
A half hour shouldn't matter.
I'm not hungry,
All
Morty.
right, all right. Esty, look at me. Okay. You need to prepare yourself. If this doesn't work, I don't want you to be...
What do you mean doesn't work?
Well, it might not.
I have raised 14 rabbits from the dead. You don't think I can raise a man?
I just don't want you to be disappointed.
I won't be.
There is another flash of lightning and a deep rumble of thunder outside. The lights shudder briefly. Esty picks up a large syringe from the Bunsen burner and fills it with the bubbling liquid from the beaker.
Oh God, the dinner, it's burning. Hold on.
Morty.
Do you want the house to catch on fire?
High winds begin to rattle the house. Morty goes up the stairs and exits the basement.
Just 1 minute.
Morty, are you coming?
Hold on, the storm's coming in. I have to close the windows.
His footsteps echoes upstairs as windows are shut. Esty goes to the body. She stares at his face, raises the syringe, and plunges it straight into the body's chest. Suddenly, there is a very loud crash of thunder and flash of lightning. The light bulb flickers off, casting the basement into darkness. The only light now comes from the flames under the Bunsen burner. Morty appears at the top of the basement stairs.
Esty, the electricity has gone out.
Yes, I'm aware.
What did you do with the Shabbos candles?
What?
They're not in the drawer.
Well, I didn't touch them.
Morty stops back into the house. The light bulb flickers on and off again. There is another crash of thunder and flash of lightning. The body raises his hand up.
Oh my God.
Found them.
Morty? Morty, come quickly.
I'm coming.
He's alive. Morty, he's alive.
Another flash of lightning. The body's hand continues to reach up and shudder. The light bulb flickers. Morty descends the basement steps, candle in hand.
What?
I've done it, Morty. I've done it. See? See?
Another flash of lightning. The body squirms on the table.
Oh, God.
Oh, Morty.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Morty picks up his candle and lights it again.
Okay, come, quickly.
Esty rushes back to the body, which has begun to shift more, as if in a restless sleep. Morty brings the lit candle in front of the body's eyes, but they remain closed.
And you're sure he wasn't dead before?
Yes, I need more light.
All right. Here you go.
Morty takes some candles from his pocket and lights them. He finds random places around the room to set them down.
But we didn't discuss how. How.
Just as Morty is near the body, there is an enormous crack of thunder and lightning, and the body bolts awake, eyes wide, hands outstretched, straight at Morty.
I did it! I really did it after all these years! And you doubted me.
The body looks around as his eyes adjust. Then he finally sees Esty.
Hello, Dr. Hammenkopf. Here we are. Together again.
The body outstretches his hand and caresses her cheeks as he did before. Then suddenly, Esty grabs the knife from her apron, stabs the body square in the chest, and twists. Fluid begins rushing out. Esty stands back and watches him slowly die. The body slumps down, dead once again. Rain begins to pelt the roof and windows.
Oh, my head. Esty? Esty, are you okay?
He's dead.
Already?
Yes.
You're sure?
Muddy prods the body gently. Esty shoves it.
Yes.
Well, why didn't you wait for me?
Well, I waited long enough.
What, in 5 more minutes would have been too much? I thought we were doing this together. We could have...
I don't feel right.
Why, are you hurt?
No, I feel...
Here, sit down.
I'm fine.
Where does it hurt? Are you bleeding?
Stop fussing. I'm just... I'm fine. I don't feel how I thought I would.
Oh, well, it's only been a minute.
Do you think he understood?
Understood what?
What I did. Why I chose him.
I don't see why he would. He doesn't know who you are.
Right.
You
Right.
said he didn't know you.
Well, he didn't.
Esty?
I told you, I took a lecture course with him, but there were hundreds of students.
So why would he remember you?
I worked in his lab one summer.
So he did know you. Why did you lie?
Well, I didn't lie.
Yes, you did.
I didn't lie. You know why I chose him.
I think we're both hungry. Okay, come on, let's eat. There's a burnt dinner and a thimble full of schnapps waiting for you.
But I thought I would
You need
feel different.
You need to relax.
Look, this isn't how I'm supposed to feel.
Give it time.
I don't feel any better.
You're probably in shock. Here, why don't you cuddle Isaac? That always makes me feel better.
Marty, look, I don't feel the way I thought I was going to.
You brought a man back from the dead. That's what you wanted to do, and you've done it.
Yeah, but he doesn't know, and he needs to know.
But you've done it.
But I have to do it again.
What?
Yes. Yes, I have to do it again.
Esty, please.
No, it won't take long. I have to repair the wound, and I do have enough serum prepared. Okay, if I take account for the fluid loss, but his veins are still hydrated. So...
Flash of lightning. The lighting bulb shudders again, but stays on.
Esty.
No, I need to do it
Please.
properly this time. I need to do it again.
Hello, I'm Victor Wishna, and I'm the author of Tree of Life. Inspired by real events, Tree of Life takes place in the present final days of a once thriving congregation in small-town Iowa. A visiting Jewish student arrives from South America, and as her intentions are revealed, the synagogue's antique Torah scroll becomes a critical character in the bittersweet and sometimes comic drama that unfolds. Meanwhile, the story of the synagogue's European immigrant founders and the Torah's mysterious past play out in the same space a century before. As a proud Midwestern Jew myself from Kansas, I wanted to explore what for me is most meaningful about being Jewish, which is being part of a community and part of a much larger ongoing story. I hope the play provokes questions about the inseparable concepts of history and community and identity. How do we define who we are? Through what connections? Do we belong to our past, or does it belong to us? What do we hold on to, and what does it mean to let go. I'm grateful to the Jewish Plays Project for supporting this new play's journey. I hope you enjoy it.
I'll just cop to it now. I can't read Victor Wishna's heartfelt play without crying. See, the synagogue in small town Iowa is based on Victor's JTA article about a shul that he actually visited in Iowa. So in this excerpt, you're going to hear two scenes. One, when Ken and Marianella, the Colombian Jewish scholar, meet in the shul for the first time. And one at the grave of Ken's wife after he has absconded with the Torah in a misguided attempt to halt the end of his town's Jewish story. And not to be a spoiler here, but I'll just tell you that the story of the 100-year-old Torah turns out not to be true. A Torah did come from Russia, but it didn't stay in Iowa. It left with its original Russian courier. But the community ended up purchasing another Torah, but kept the tale of its dramatic arrival. It's a bit of subterfuge to create a better founding myth, one that connects us to our forebears across time and space. You could say that's lying, but for me, it encapsulates the purpose of stories, both the ones we tell and the ones in the Torah. Thanks and enjoy.
Congregation Etz Chaim in Wikoni, Iowa has a proud history. Even as the community shrinks, and that history seems to be winding down, its sanctuary has drawn the attention of Marianella, a Colombian grad student visiting to research her dissertation, who represents a budding community of Latin Americans who are rediscovering their own Jewish roots. Ken, one of Etz Chaim's few remaining members, is her diligent guide.
Ah, I see you've gone right to the most important, the Ark, where we keep the Holy Torah. That's original. Now, when we did the restoration several years ago, they took out a lot of the rows. They reconfigured it. Well, maybe not today, but just imagine if you can, wall to wall, packed, not just on the high holidays, but just on a Shabbos, the Sabbath. You know, whenever there was a special occasion or not so special occasion, we are much smaller now, of course, but much smaller, but this is still our place. We are very proud.
Of course, it is something to be proud of.
So here I am yammering on, and I don't even know if I'm being even remotely helpful with your school project.
My dissertation, yes, it's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Klein.
Oh, I'm not a Mr. I'm a Ken.
Okay, Ken.
Yes, well, like I said, I talk a lot, but nobody would ever accuse me of being articulate. My wife says that my English is my second language, even though it's my only language.
That's funny.
Not that there's anything wrong with English as a second language.
It's my third. Really?
Well, I talk too much. Yes, I know.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. Sometimes when I say something in an aside, I do it literally. Lily calls it one of my unfortunate quirks. Lily, my wife.
Ah.
I'm sorry she's not here to talk to you. Her family was one of the founding families of the community. When the Russian Jews came and built this synagogue, her great-grandparents got to New York and said, "What is this shit?" Excuse the language. I didn't schlep halfway around the world to work in a sweatshop. So they set out west. Lily's great-grandmother had some cousins in Chicago, and that's where they headed.
Chicago.
Yeah, well, they overshot.
Oh.
But you have to understand, 100 years ago, Wikoni was about to be the place to be. On Main Street, half the businesses were Jewish families. It already had one of the first Jewish cemeteries in Iowa. That was a big deal. It meant they were all planning on staying for a long time. A long time.
I have read this.
And Lily's great-grandparents did very well. They helped build this place. They donated the land we're standing on. But even more important, they gave us their Torah.
Yes, I also understand this.
We still have it. That's everything. This community, they couldn't call itself a congregation without a Torah.
Yes, I also understand this.
Lily's the one who really knows the history.
I would love to meet her.
Who?
Your wife?
What?
Lily.
Oh, she's dead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just.
No, a year ago. It's, was I talking about her in the present tense again? It's another of my unfortunate quirks.
Really, I am so sorry. The way you were talking, she seemed.
Alive? Yeah.
I didn't mean to upset you.
Oh, am I upset? A little crazy, perhaps. And of course, I miss her every day. I still talk to her. That's the truth. My asides. They aren't really asides. She's there, you know. Sometimes I worry that I'm living in the past. But what is our present without our past, right?
I also know exactly what you mean with this. May we see it?
What?
The Torah. We could see it?
Oh, I don't see why not. Actually, you know, it's not a bad idea to take it out. The truth is we don't have that much occasion to read from it anymore. And if we don't take it out once in a while and roll it up, let the parchment feel the air, well, the ink will dry out. If the Torah is not read, it's not breathing. It's not living.
It is beautiful. Quite good for 100 years old, yes?
Oh, I think it's older than that. What this Torah has seen. It was carried here from Russia, or I think Ukraine, by Lily's great-great-uncle or cousin, from small-town Russia to small-town Iowa. Quite a story.
Oh, yes. I didn't know. I thought it was purchased. Dr. Wolf showed me the paperwork from the Jewish Historical Society.
Oh, that's odd. I mean, why would... well, historians, as I like to say, inside every history, there's a story. Actually, I just came up with that, or maybe I saw it on TV.
Well, I'm sure the Torah knows. You said it yourself. It is alive.
As Marianella's visit continues, we meet Lily's great-grandparents a century before, as the story of the Jewish community's earliest days and its Torah's mysterious origins interlocks with the present. Meanwhile, it becomes clear that Marie's visit has another purpose, and that she does not intend to go home to Colombia empty-handed. But rather than to let the Torah go, Ken takes hold of it, literally. Some might call it stealing, but he doesn't go so far, and those who know him know where to find him.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. Okay, you're still mad at me. Look, I don't want to argue. You're entitled to your opinion. I thought maybe if I came down here again, well, Lily? Oh, hi there. Jean, forgive me. I thought you were, I thought I was alone.
Oh, you're never alone in Old Waconey, Ken. I think that was a slogan once.
Well, it's been feeling that way, I have to tell you. Thank you, Jean.
What? Why would you think I'm here to see you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, you've come to see Herb.
I came to see my plot. Wedged in there between Herb and that old tree. Every year, the roots keep encroaching. Oh, by the time they bury me, there'll be no room to breathe. Oh, say, did you hear? You stole our Torah.
Jean, I didn't. I just thought things were getting out of hand, and until cooler heads can prevail.
Oh, cooler heads, you say? Nah, I get what's going on. It's pretty obvious.
Lily?
No, not Lily. Not exactly. Now tell me, why do you think she arranged for the city to take over the maintenance of the cemetery? And she's the one who wanted to find a place for all the pictures and memorial plaques, right? reached out to the Historical Society and the Jewish archives and all that.
Archives are just cemeteries with librarians.
It broke her heart. But Lily knew it was a mitzvah and her own sacred mission to see this community to its dignified end. But you know this. So no, I don't think this is all about Lily.
So I haven't given up hope.
Things change, sometimes for the better, sometimes.
Things change?
Things end, sometimes suddenly, sometimes gracefully.
Jean.
Nothing wrong with living in the past, unless you think it's the future. You mourn, but you live. You sit for 7 days, pray every day for a month or a year, and then, well, you don't get over, but you get on. You remember. This will always be your home, Ken. You know that. She'll always be your home. Even if you don't stay, you'll take this place with you.
Jean, how can you say that?
Well, it's not hard for me to say. No matter what, I'm not going to be around for much longer. Hello, Ken? Oh, yep. Okay. Leaving now.
Oh.
I'll be under that great big tree with Herbie. Just holler when you've sorted this all out.
May I? Yes. Many Sundays, my grandmother would go to visit my grandfather at the big cemetery in town. Catholic, of course. I did not know my grandfather. I mean, I never got to meet him. But Abuelita, she would take me sometimes and tell me stories like he was there. Not there in the ground, but with us, always. And the cemetery was just for us, a place to go and remember. And before we'd leave, she would also place another little rock like this on the slab. So there were many little rocks. And yes, I noticed that the other graves, they do not have this. As a kid, the things your parents, your grandparents do, or just the things they do, they are part of them. You don't know that this is different. And yet, my grandmother, I knew these little things, the stones, the candles on Friday night. I knew these little things were bigger than her, that she was sharing them with me for a reason. And even if she did not know what the reason was or didn't know how to tell me, it was something I was supposed to carry on. Something I was supposed to take hold of. Yes? It would take me a long time to realize that this is really all that matters, all that we're looking for. To know we have a place in the story, a part in something that has come before us and will continue when we're gone. To hear a voice from the past, calling us to the future. This is why the Torah matters, yes?
The Torah isn't mine to take. It never was.
But it is yours to give. This is how everyone here understands it. Your love, I understand it. When you give, you don't really let go.
Lily isn't talking to me anymore. You know what I mean? Whenever I'd been a bad boy, a real horse's ass, she used to give me the silent treatment. I guess she still is, but what if I never see her again?
I think you will. I know this.
Yeah? Well, it's probably been crazy enough that I still talk to her.
I still talk to my grandmother all the time.
And does she talk back?
Of course she does.
Kapayim, kapayim. Todah rabah. to everybody at Center Stage. And now we come to the dramatic conclusion of our hour together, and we take a digital vote. And by digital, I mean for those in Renana, you're voting with these digits. And for everybody else, and we'll leave the Renana folks to conduct their vote as we're speaking, but I want to ask everyone else on Zoom, you will be right now receiving an opportunity to vote by poll, and you get to choose 1, 2, or 3. Vote number 1 for Madeleines, vote number 2 for Say Goodbye, vote number 3 for Tree of Life, but only vote for 1. So you should see a poll now popped up on your screen, and interactive live theater allows you now to make your choice and put your vote in the screen. We will promise to tabulate it as you're listening. And I'm gonna throw a question or two to our Daniella while they're conducting the local vote. And with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to share the results from one, if not both of the votes. So let me start with Daniella, who I see back on the screen. I actually had the good fortune to see 2 of these 3 productions in Fairfax, Virginia, with a live audience with the JPP recently. And it just occurred to me how different these performances were than the 2 that I saw in the United States. And I wonder if you could just give us a little bit about the secret sauce of working with your reading committee, and then the casting for these shows in Renana.
Sure, Wayne, of course. We've been working with these wonderful actors now for 3 years in a row. And it's been fantastic. What I found really interesting, though, was how different the Israeli vote is to the rest of the world's votes. There's some plays that somehow resonate a little bit more for us. Maybe we've got a little bit more of a dark humor as well, which might explain things. But Danny, what would you say? I mean, you directed us. How was that for you?
I was really surprised by how different the plays were this year than last year.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the ones last year had nods to, like Black Lives Matter movement and kind of class and race issues in America. And this has shifted more, towards kind of more classic Jewish themes than relating them to modern themes that don't necessarily immediately tie into that.
Yeah, but they really resonated with us this year. So, David, soon I'll be talking to you. That's all I can say. But
and then also we like to, we have some like returners with our reading groups, and because we, put in the hours from our own time to participate in that, the casting decisions go first to those who we see fit for the roles from our reading group. And then if we need to branch out from there for other actors, we will. This year we had really small cast. That was another thing, at least from the excerpts. But last year we did some that we needed 6-7 people for. So this was a lot easier to orchestrate, actually.
Great. David, maybe you could chime in as well. I know you were just out in Palo Alto, and you'll be in Hartford, Connecticut. So the plays move around. Maybe just a word or two on what it means to you to actually have Israel on the map of JPP.
It's so fantastic, especially with the Danny Squared here. They're really amazing. It's such a great knitting together of things. And I feel like it's really necessary. If we're going to talk about the contemporary Jewish conversation, then we need to be in touch with Israel. We need to have that be part of our conversation. And it's great to be here. And Danny, absolutely. Let's talk about some plays. Let's get them on stage out there. It's really awesome. But it's always interesting in the different communities. There's, it normally happens this year a little bit less so than in the past, but most times
each individual city chooses a totally different slate of plays. And I do want to tell everybody that if you're interested in the other 4 plays, there are 7 finalists in this year's contest. You can go to our website, jewishplaysproject.org, and we did a podcast series this year. So you should totally check those out. You can listen to these plays, you can listen to the other plays. They're really, really fantastic. And look at the work we're doing. You can vote again in that. And then the last thing I want to say is our international finals, the top 3 plays will face off on June 23rd. So 2 weeks from today, on the virtual JCC platform in another online event similar to this. And we will crown our eventual winner. So we invite everybody here on the webinar to join us for that as well. And all those details are on our website. But it's really fascinating to hear how people respond differently. I'm, chatting with some folks in the chat here about what they thought. So this is my favorite part, is hearing the voices of our audience members. And I would say this is what gives us the leg up in getting our plays produced, is we're not just going out to producers and artistic directors and saying, here's a play we like. We're saying, here's a play that 1,500 people have seen and enjoyed and reacted to, and that helps us get things into production.
Well, so I'm seeing in the chat people who are at least metaphorically voting for all 3, and others who have expressing strong favors. In a moment, we'll find out. Daniella, I'll come back to you, just because the last time you were in an empty, theater, as many of us have experienced, trying to keep live theater alive. What does it mean, to have your chevre around you now, both the theater actors as well as the audience? And most importantly, do you have a winner to announce in Renana?
Well, let me answer that. First of all, it's absolutely wonderful to have theater back again, live and kicking. And we appreciate that our audience comes in and supports us and is with us. And we do have
a result.
Absolutely.
We actually, Israel has a tie.
Yes, it does.
Oh my goodness. This is not unprecedented, but let's hear Renana's result first, and then we will bring up the Zoom result. Hopefully it is ready as well.
We have a tie between Madeleines and
Tree of Life.
So if we don't remember, that was number 1 and number 3.
Number 1 and number 3 from Renana.
Wow, all right, very exciting.
And now let me go to the magic of Zoom, and we have a winner. We have a choice. Number 1, Madeleines is the clear winner of the 3 on Zoom, and everybody's a winner today. Let's hear either with your hands or your voices or your live theater wins out today. Thanks to our friends at the Jewish Plays Project. Thanks to CenterStage in Renana. Thanks to our respective teams, to Grant and everybody behind the scenes. Raquel making all the magic happen today. We're so grateful. This is what we had intended, to bring people together, to share from our culture, to make it interactive. And through this innovative program today, we're certainly able to continue that tradition. We look forward to doing it for many years to come. Come back and join us on Sunday, June 12th. We have a program. We will begin celebrating Father's Day early. It's a program about the great social service organization and innovation happening in Israel from Na'amat. The program that we're focusing on is actually called the ABBA Project, which looks at family social services for families at risk. We hope you'll join us on Sunday, the 12th. We hope you'll join us throughout the summer. We'll have robust programming that is really true to the spirit of the America-Israel relationship. And to all of Israel's friends around the world, we'll say shalom, lehitraot. Everyone have a safe and great beginning to the summer.
Yay.